Guys, welcome to my channel. This is Divine Fash Clothing. I'm Modupe by name, which means in English I give thanks to God. Modupe Oluwa, I give thanks to God. That's the meaning in English. I'm here today to introduce my newest pattern to you guys. Davina back pattern. Davina back pattern. The pattern come in two sizes. We have the big size. It can contain 12 inches laptop or 13 inches laptop, even 14 inches laptop. And we have the medium size. It can contain tablets, and the bag features with so many pockets. It has so many pockets. And first, the bag have front pocket flap. It has front pocket flap. It has back zipper pocket, and the inside it has it's a three compartment bag, a three compartment. And first, the first compartment, second compartment, and third compartment. And it also have zipper pockets. That's inner zipper pocket. It also has a slit pocket. It has a slit pocket. And it comes with a zipper closure to keep your essentials safe. The weight of the bag size measured 14 inches by width, and height it measures 10 inches. 14 inches in width and height is 10 inches. And it also have two undo option. You can see this is the first option. It has a board. This is the top handle. It has two board. It has two undo option. It has top undo option and body undo option. Body undo option. You can see the bag has a unique size, unique way of showing it. You can see this is the big size. The same thing with the small size. It also has zipper, three compartments, and slit pockets also. You can see. So we'll go ahead now to start with the tutorial. So come along with me as we begin tutorial. Thank you for trusting us. Thank you for buying our pattern. God bless you. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. God bless you as you are doing so. Thank you. Love you. I will take the front middle panel and the front pocket lining. I will align the two right side together. I will sew around the cuff with 3/8 seam allowance, which is 1 centimeter. I've already marked out my sewing allowance on the wrong side of the pocket lining in order for my sewing to be straight and get the accurate measurement. I will make a slant cut through the curve places that I just finished showing. I'll make sure the cutting does not reach the stitching. I will cut through around in order for me to fold the piece neatly to wrong side together. I will turn the piece wrong side together. I'll make sure the edges align. I will turn it wrong side together, and I will top stitch on the right side of the front middle panel with 1/8 seam allowance. I will turn the panel to the wrong side, and I will take the second front pocket lining. I will align its right side together with the first lining on the front middle panel, and I will sew from one side to the bottom and to the other side. I will sew around the lining with 1/4 seam allowance, 0.6 centimeter. The front pocket lining is done already. I will take the two pocket flap. I will take the two pocket flap. I will align the two right side together. I will sew around the curve from the side through the curve to the other side. I've already marked out my sewing allowance, which is 1/4 centimeter, 0.6 centimeter, and I will sew around. I will cut out a little from the point angle for me to turn right side out easily. I will turn the piece right side out. I will top stitch on the seams with 1/8 seam allowance, 0.3 centimeters. I will transfer the magnetic snap placement of the pattern piece to the right side of the flap panel. The pattern piece will be above the piece, be 1/4 above the piece, and I will mark
I will attach the female part's magnetic snap to the flap panel. I'm using the magnetic snap with cover. We are using the one that does not have cover. The magnetic snap will be on one side of the piece. Because I'm using the one with cover, so I will attach the snap will go through the two pieces. Now I will notch the center of the flap panel at the bottom edge. By folding it equally, I will make a notch to get the center at the bottom of the panel. I will take the two front side panel. We are making use of the one on the right side. I will notch also the center of the front side panel. I will align the notches of the front side panel and that of the front pocket flap right side together, and I will top stitch on the flap with 1/4 seam allowance. We are making use of the long length of the front side panel. The long length of the front side panel. I will take the front middle panel with pockets and I will align the two right side together. I'll measure the edges, the long length on the two panel, the edges align. And I will sew it 3/8. I've already marked out my sewing allowance on the wrong side of the front side panel in order for me to get accurate measurements of the seam allowance. I will sew with 3/8, 1 centimeter from top to bottom. On the wrong side of the piece, I will turn the raw edges of the front side panel and that of the flap to the front side panel, and I will top stitch on the wrong side of the front side panel. The edges of the front side panel and that of the flap towards the front side panel, and I will top stitch with 1/8 seam allowance on the right side of the front side panel. On the wrong side of the piece again, I will turn the raw edges of the front middle panel and that of the pocket towards the front middle panel, and I will top stitch on the front middle panel with 1/8 seam allowance, 0.3 centimeter. Now I will use the magnetic snap on the flap, the female part, to get the male part magnetic snap. I will set it to get the point where the second flap will be, and I will attach the flap. So I will make sure that the pocket is out of the way. The snap will be on the front middle panel only, and not together with the lining. Now I will take the second front side panel and I will align it to the remaining side, to the remaining long length of the front middle panel. I will sew from top to bottom with 3/8 centimeters, 3/8 seam allowance, 1 centimeter. I've already marked out my seam allowance line on the wrong side of the second front side panel to get the accurate seam allowance. On the wrong side of the piece, I will turn the raw edges towards the other front side panel, the raw edges of both middle and of the side, and I will sew on the wrong side of the second front side panel with 1/8 seam allowance, 0.3 centimeter. On the wrong side of the piece, I will mark out 3/4 line at the top edge of the piece, 2 centimeters. I'll mark out around at the top edge of the piece, 3/4 line, 2 centimeters. The front panel is done, and I will set this aside. You can see how beautiful it is. I love the outcome of it. Now I will take the back panel, and on the wrong side of the back panel, I've transferred the pocket placement on the pattern piece to the wrong side of the back panel, and I've also marked 3/4 line at the top edge of the piece, 2 centimeter, and I will cut through at the middle line. I will cut through at the middle lines and the corner line. Now I added my glue around the mark line. You can use double-sided tape, and I'll fold at the line. I'll fold at the top line, wrong side together. I'll make sure that the edges is not shown on the right side of the piece. I'll fold through at the line marked for back zipper pocket opening. I will set the back panel aside now. I will set it aside for now. I will take one back zipper pocket lining right side up, and I will place the zipper tape, the 8" zipper tape for back zipper pocket, on it right side up, and I will sew at the top edges with 1/4 seam allowance, 0.6 centimeters. I will repeat the step for the remaining back zipper pocket lining and the other edges on the zipper tape. On the wrong side of the lining, I will top stitch on both edges with 1/8 seam allowance to make sure that the edges lay flat. You can use double-sided tape instead of top stitching. I will open away the zipper tape with the pockets, and I will take the back panel wrong side down, and I'll place the zipper pocket opening over to the zipper tape tooth, straight and center, and I will sew on the opening with 1/8 or 1/4 seam allowance. You can sew as close as you would. I will sew around the opening. I will turn the piece to the wrong side, and I will align the pocket linings right side together, and I will sew around with 1/4 seam allowance. I will sew from one side to the bottom and to the other side with 1/4 seam allowance. Now I will cut out the excess fabric at the bottom of the lining, and I will set the piece aside. We are moving forward steadily. The back zipper pocket is done. If we get to this stage, I will say we're done. You can take a sip of water to relax. Or stretch your body if you feel tired. The outcome of your mix worth the stress. You are making something beautiful. Now I will take the two handle panel, the body handle panel. On the wrong side of the panel, I marked a line around 3/4 line around the panel. I added the glue to the mark line and I folded edges to meet the line mark, wrong side together, around the piece. Note, we have two handle options for this pattern. One is top handle option and the second one is body handle option. I make video for only body handle option because it's difficult than that of the top handle option. You can check the pattern for the top handle option. Now, from each end of the two handle panel, I mark 2 inches. I mark 2 inches line from each end of the panels. That is where my stitching will start and stop. I will fold the panel wrong side together and I will top stitch with 1/8 seam allowance, 0.3 centimeter. I will start the stitching and end at the 2 inches line I marked on each end of the two panels. Now I will insert the two tube pipe for the two panel. I will insert teeth through the panel's opening space from each end. A space of ½ inches should be left at each ends of the two panel when inserting the tube pipe. I will take the back panel. On the right side of the panel, I will transfer the body handle placement on the pattern piece to the back panel, and I will also repeat the same thing for the front panel. I will make sure the edges of the pattern piece and that of the panels aligns together in marking the handle placements. I will set the ends of the strap to the placement, and I will sew around following the mark line. I will sew around following the mark line. I will repeat the step for the other panel, the front panel. You can see the two handle is done. On the wrong side of the two sides connectors, I marked a line 3/8 1 cm around the panel. I added glue. You can use double-sided tape to the mark line, and I fold at the line. I fold at the line around the two panel, and I cut out the excess that poke up. I cut out the edges so it lay flat. I fold the panel in two equal parts, and I center the D-ring. I inserted the D-ring at the center of the fold, and I clip to hold down. I will take the two side panel. On the wrong side of the piece, I marked 3/8 line on the two sides and the bottom on each panel, and I marked 3/4 at the top edges, and I press in place the interfacing for side panel to the wrong side. On the right side of each side panel, I transfer my side connector placements to the on the pattern piece to the right side of the side panels, and I set the connectors in place to the line, and I sew around with 1/8 seam allowance. I start the sewing at the bottom of the D-ring to the side to the bottom. The bottom of the D-rings should be placed on the top of the placement mark. The bottom of the D-ring should be placed on the top line of the placement mark. Now I will align the side of the side panels to the side of the front panels. I will clip to hold down, and I will sew at the side edges with 3/8 seam allowance 1 centimeter. I will also repeat step for the back panels and the remaining side on the side panels. On the right side of the base panel, I will transfer the back feet placement on the pattern piece to the base panel. The 4 back feet on the pattern piece to the base panel, and I will attach the back feet to the panel. Now I will notch the 4 center on the base panel, the 2 short lengths on the base panel, and the 2 long lengths on the base panel by folding each at the center by folding equally. I will repeat the step for these 2 side panel, the front and back panel at the bottom of the piece. I will knot each center of the back panel, the front panel, and the 2 side panel at the bottom of the piece. Now I will align the notches on the base panel to the notches on the piece, the sides to the bottom of the piece. I will make sure that the notches align. Now I will sew on the base panel with 3/8 seam allowance 1 centimeter. I've already marked out my sewing allowance on the wrong side of the base panel to get the accurate measurements. Now I turn the piece right side out and I top stitch on the right side of the base panel. If you cannot top stitch, it doesn't matter. Now a great well done to you. Our exterior is ready. I will go ahead now and add and press in place my interfacing on the inside of the piece. I have pressed in place my interfacing on the inside of the piece. You might not add your interfacing the same way I did my own. You can add your interfacing anyhow it's easy. Whatever way, any way it's easy for you to add your interfacing. This is the easiest way for me to add my interfacing. That's why I added my interfacing this way. Now we move to the interior part, the linings. I will take my slip pocket lining. I will fold from top to bottom equally. I will sew on the two sides with 1/4 seam allowance. I will now turn the piece right side out. I will take my slip pocket binding. I will place it over right side together and I will sew at the top with 1/4 seam allowance 0.6 centimeters. I will fold over the edges to the other side of the slit pocket and I will top stitch on the right side with 1/8 seam allowance. I cut out the excess on the slip pocket binding. Now I will take one front main lining. I will notch the center, both the top and the bottom of the lining, and I will place the slip pockets right side together at the top of the lining, and I will leave a space of 1 inches below the slip pocket. I will make sure that the two align straight and center. I will sew from one side to the bottom to the other side on the slip pocket binding together with the front main lining with 1/8 seam allowance 0.3 centimeters. I will take the second front main lining and I will place the zipper overlay on it, leaving 1 inches below the zipper overlay. I will place it straight and center, and I will sew around the zipper overlay top edges with 1/8 centimeters 0.3, 1/8 seam allowance 0.3 centimeters. I will sew around the zipper overlay panel. I will use the zipper overlay opening to cut out the opening on the lining. Now I will repeat the step for back zipper pockets for the inner zipper pocket lining and the zipper tape. I will open the inner zipper pocket away, and I will place the zipper overlay opening over to the zipper taped tooth. I will set it straight and center, and I will sew on the inner opening with 1/8 seam allowance 0.3 centimeters. Now I will take the back main lining. I will notch the center, both the top and the bottom, and I will align it to the front main lining, right side together. I will make sure that the notches at the top and the bottom align, and I will sew by the side with 3/8 seam allowance 1 centimeter. I will sew on the two sides of the lining. I will repeat the step for the remaining front and back main lining. I will take also the two base lining, the bottom lining. I will notch the center, both the center, the two long lengths on the base lining piece. And I will align it to the bottom of the two linings. I will make sure that the notches matches. I will sew around with 1/4 seam allowance 0.3 centimeters around the bottom of the lining. I will take the two middle linings. I will align it right side together. I will sew by the sides. I will sew on the two sides with 3/8 seam allowance 1 centimeter, and also at the bottom I will sew with 1/4 at the bottom of the lining 0.6 centimeter. Now I will align the square area together. I will make sure that the side seam and the bottom seam align, and I will sew with 1/4 seam allowance 0.6 centimeter on both square places on the middle main lining piece. We are done with the main linings. We are almost done. Well done. It's worth it. Now we move to the upper lining panel piece. I will grab all my upper lining piece, and on the wrong side I mark a line of 3/4 line at the top edge of each upper lining piece, both the front upper lining, back upper lining, and the middle upper lining piece. I mark 3/4 at the top edge of each piece. Now I will align the front upper lining and the back upper lining by the side, and I will sew on the short side with 3/8 seam allowance 1 centimeter. I will also repeat the same for the second front and back upper lining. I will align it by the sides, the short length on each panel, and I will sew with 3/8 1 centimeter. I will also repeat the same thing for the middle upper lining panels. On the wrong side of the piece on the marking line, I added the glue to the mark line and I fold in the edges to make the line mark wrong side together. I repeat step for all the 3 pieces. I know you must be very tired by now. You are almost getting close to creating something amazing. Before you continue the next step, rest a little, drink water, stretch your back, stretch your leg, stretch your hand. You are almost there. We move to the zipper plaskets. I divided the zipper tape for my zipper plasket in 2 and I use lighter to burn the edges and the tooth of the zipper tape to make a curve on each zipper tape. And I take my 2 zipper plasket panels. On each end of the zipper plasket on the wrong side, the short length, I mark 1/2 line, 1.27 centimeters, and I added my glue to the mark line and I fold in the edges to make the mark line. I repeat the step for the remaining zipper plaskets, both the 2 short lengths on each zipper plasket panel. I fold in the edges wrong side together on each zipper plasket panel. I notch the center and I notch the center of the plasket. I place the zipper tape at the center of the plasket panel. I make sure the zipper tape is 1/4 below the top edge of the plasket panel. I make sure the edges of the zipper tape and that of the long edges on the plasket panel align and I clip. I repeat the step for the remaining zipper tape and zipper plasket. I sew on the plisket panel with 1/4 seam allowance 0.6 cm. I make sure the folded part on the plisket is at the bottom of the zipper tape. I turn the zipper tape right side out. And I will top stitch the seams with 1/8 seam centimeter. I will start to sew from the short end of the zipper plisket. Now I will fold the plisket equally and I will notch the center of the plisket. With the upper lining again, I will grab all the upper lining piece and I will notch the center at the bottom of each upper lining, the 2 front upper lining, the 2 back upper lining, and the 2 middle lining. I will notch each centers at the bottom of each upper lining piece. Now I will align one zipper plisket on the notches of the front upper lining. I will align one zipper plisket, the center I notch, to the notches of the front upper lining. The two must be placed right side together. I will also repeat the step for the remaining zipper plisket and the remaining front upper lining, front joined upper lining. I will sew with 1/4 seam allowance 0.6 centimeters from the zipper plisket top to bottom. Now I will align the bottom of the joined front and back upper lining with zipper plaskets to the top edges of the joined front and back main lining. Together, I will make sure the notches aligned and the center seam on the upper lining and that of lining align also. I will repeat step for all the upper lining and all the main lining, and I will clip to hold down. I will stitch with 1/4 seam allowance 0.6 centimeter around the lining. I will repeat step for the middle upper lining and the middle main lining. On the wrong side of the upper lining, I will mark the center. I will mark the center of each middle upper lining piece. I will repeat the same thing for the other upper middle line. And from the center that I marked, I will mark 4 inches. I will mark 4 inches from top to bottom of the middle upper lining. I will repeat the step for the other parts of one middle upper lining, making 8 inches mark on each upper middle lining. 8 inches. I will mark 4 inches from the center. I will repeat the step for the second upper middle lining, marking 4 inches from the center and the other part of each upper middle lining, making 8 inches mark on each upper lining. I will repeat the step for the back upper lining that was joined with front upper lining. I will repeat the step only for the back upper lining, for the two back upper lining that was joined with the front upper lining. Please note, if you are making the big size for this step, because I used the medium size to make this video. If you are making the big size, the mark for this step is 4/5/8. You are marking 4/5/8. That's 9/1/4 in total for each upper lining panel piece. Now, I will align the marking area, the marking places on the upper middle lining and that of the back upper lining together from top to bottom. I will align the 8 inches mark of both the upper middle lining and the back upper lining together. I repeat the same step for the remaining back upper lining and the remaining upper middle lining, and I will clip. By doing this, the lining will come together, and I will sew at the top of the back upper lining and middle lining with 1/4 seam allowance or 1/8 seam allowance. You can sew as close as you would. I will sew from the start and to finish of the 8 inches mark of the upper lining. Now we have the 3 compartments lining. We are through and done with the lining to the finishing of the bag. Now I will take, now at the top edges of the exterior, I will fold in the mark line. I will fold in the edges to meet the mark line on the piece. And I will fold in around. I will fold in the edges around to meet the mark line on the piece. And I will take the 3 compartment lining and I will insert it. I will insert the completed lining into the completed exterior. I will start from the front upper lining. I will clip around. I will make sure the center of the middle upper lining align to the center of the side panel. The seams of the upper middle lining must align to the center of the side panel, and I will clip around with pin down, with clip to hold down. Sewing the top edge can be a little tricky. We need to exercise a lot of patience, and each compartment will be sewed separately. Middle upper lining will be sewed separately, middle lining to middle lining, and the 2 compartments will be sewed from back upper lining to the other end of back upper lining. I will start each stitching from the 8 inches on the end, at the end of the 8 inches of the upper middle lining, and sew around. I will sew first on the upper lining, on the 2 sides of the lining, and I'm done. I will start the stitching from the start of the upper lining to the back panel and to the end of the other side of the upper lining, and I will repeat the same for the front panel. Note, I had to remove the 2 pipe I inserted in the body handle placement because it was not easy to sew with that 2 pipe inside the handle. I removed it and I inserted it back after stitching the top of the bag. If you are using a domestic head machine, the stitching of the top edge of the bag is kind of tricky, you need to exercise a lot of patience. I make sure that the handle is out of the way. I inserted the zipper end, and I also inserted the tube pipe on the handle back. And our bag is ready. Last but not the least, the long strap. I folded the two edges of the long strap, the two to the center, and I fold again. And the strap reduced in width to 0.75, and I sew from top to bottom. I insert the glider into the long strap, and I add secure with rivets. I insert the zipper hook to the strap, and I inserted the other end of the long strap into the hook, into the buckle, and I add the second zipper hook to the end of the strap and secure with rivets. And finally, we are done with the Davina bag. The stress worth it. What an amazing and cute bag you have made. Please don't forget to tag us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook. All our social media handle is at the bottom of our pattern piece. Thank you for trusting in us. Will you please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel? Thank you.